A lot of young people, like when they're turning 18, 19, I don't know that they're thinking about good debt, bad
It
debt.
takes a long time to save $10,000, but you can get access to 10,000 in one night.
I'm seeing is that there's so many little ins and outs, assets, liabilities. Like there's different pieces of the puzzle. If I don't know the pieces of the puzzle, then how can I put them together wisely, you know?
There was no need to. When you're in high school, debt, why it's important. Debt helps you have a good credit score.
Opportunities are vehicles, but I'm the driver. Like we
Yeah.
are the drivers of all those opportunities.
What's up? Life of a hustler, gotta do it for mother, gotta do it for father, even though he act like a sucker. Life of a hustler, gotta do it for granny, gotta do it for brothers, even if they think I don't love them. Been getting active and hustling.
What is it that you do and who is it that you help?
Well, my goal is to help anybody who has a pessimistic mindset towards money and, access to it, and anybody who is trying to understand credit and, loans and banking, things like that. But the main group is between 18 and 22-year-olds, because that's around the time that you actually start getting into credit. You may not think you need it, and you actually may not need it, depending on how your parents may have, helped you, because some parents do pass down their credit history through being an authorized user and things like that. But some don't understand credit themselves. So when the kids turn 18, 22 years old and they need credit, but they don't really understand why, they don't, have the full understanding. So I want that age group, to understand things the most, but really anybody, doesn't matter what age you are.
Got it. And how did you get into this topic, and like what attracted you to this type of teaching that you're doing?
Just being interested in the information myself, because I wanted to get an apartment, I wanted to get a car, and I needed good credit to get both of those, but I didn't have it. So the first time trying, I actually didn't apply for a car loan or anything like that. I just, after doing research, I realized my credit score didn't match what the internet was saying I needed. So I just didn't even go that route, because I knew I would be denied or I wouldn't be able to get approved. And as far as an apartment, I tried to get one, and my score just wasn't enough to get approved by myself. So I needed to have either a roommate or a cosign that had a better credit score. And that's what ended up happening. I had a roommate with a better score. Helped us all, me and my fiance and him, all get in the room together for a couple years. But just those things really made me interested in understanding how to get a better score. And then the better mine got, I realized people just aren't studying this. This isn't just something that's talked about every day, like
or in
sport,
school or in school.
That's why I want that target age group, like right when you're graduating, going into college, you can actually do things. I mean, yes, you need to learn about it before, but you don't have to, move fast when it comes to credit. It's like a long game. It could take a couple years to make something happen. So I thought it was fine, learning something around 18, for other kids. But for me, I was like 23 when I started figuring stuff out,
Mm-hmm. And the book that you have written so far, is it totally about that?
Yeah, it's partially and mostly about credit, but it's also about the mindset around money and a way to look at finances. So that way, when you do get access, because that's all credit is, it's just access to money. But when you do get it, I want whoever is getting access to it to think differently when it comes to money, knowing what liabilities versus assets are, and using other people's money to do things instead of your own in case of, emergencies or, businesses and, things that you tried not working out, just
So financial IQ, like financial education.
exactly. That's the goal. I don't want people to just know about credit, because then they get access to $5,000-$10,000 and they start spending it on a bunch of liabilities, things that don't really earn them money, and now they're just in bad debt, because there's good debt and bad debt. But when you purchase things, that don't help that doesn't help your money grow, you're not really earning anything with this debt, which makes it bad debt. But when you take money and buy things or do things that doubles it or triples it, and even if it doesn't double it, just 15%, return on the money you spent, even less, it doesn't matter. If you can make money back from the money you used, that's what's called good debt.
As you're saying that, I'm thinking like a lot of young people, like when they're turning 18, 19, I don't know that they're thinking about assets, liabilities, good debt, bad debt, like
Exactly.
I don't think that's something that like they even know. Maybe they've heard it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's not something that's so much in their radar, right?
Yeah, and personally, I don't think it is, because there was no need to. When you're in high school, everything's being taken care of. But as soon as you go off to college, they expect you to, have a vehicle or know how to get transportation if you need it. Maybe you got a cell phone bill that you have to start paying for. Maybe, once you start becoming an upperclassman, you want to move out of the dorms and get into an apartment or a house, but you don't know exactly what's required to make that happen. And then once you find out, you're in the same spot that we're talking about right now, just not even knowing, what debt can be used for, why it's important, because honestly, a little bit of debt helps you have a good credit score. That's why some people having student loans, for example, on their report that they're still paying off, is it's actually helping their score, because they're making on-time payments, and it's helping the payment history. So imagine you turn 23 years old and you haven't even started paying back your student loans. You haven't, taken out a loan for a car. You've never started a credit card. If you want to get an apartment, they're going to wonder, how do you handle money? Are you even going to pay your rent on time? And that'll make it hard, because now you have to prove you make 5 times the amount of rent, or some crazy number that they give to people who don't have any credit or the best credit, because credit just changes the opportunity for you. That's all.
So who's helping, like, let's say when the young people, they get out of, they start being an adult and everything, like who's helping them, or how are they navigating this? Is it just like School of Hard Knocks? Like, oh my God, now I have to pay this much because my credit is low, just by experience, pretty much?
That's what I noticed. There's only a select few amount of people that are teaching credit. I mean, the people I look up to, they're all mentors that some of them I met, and some of them, I'm still just watching on YouTube, like Herman Dulce or Marvin Francois or Him 500, Schmitty the GOAT. That's his name, YouTube and Instagram. But these guys are teaching the ins and outs of credit, and not only that, but how to use it once you have it, to buy assets and stay away from liabilities, or fund your lifestyle that you can afford, and just get little perks and rewards for it, while you're doing the same thing you've always been doing, because people can use cash and continue to use their debit cards to pay bills, but you can also use credit cards to do the exact same thing, maybe save some money here and there, get a couple of dollars back, for a few things in the future.
And I think maybe a lot of people think that debt is bad, like just in general, right?
Yeah.
So they're trying to get away from debt.
Mm-hmm.
And credit is part of getting in debt, but you're saying that you can get in debt for a positive, like for a good reason. So what's the
Now,
difference between the good debt and the bad debt?
now that's one thing too that I noticed a lot of people think credit is debt, but it's what's called revolving debt, meaning if you don't spend it, you're not in debt for it.
Like you
So
have it there, it's there, like pending kind of thing.
exactly. So you could get a loan, for example. Now with a loan, you're in debt because the entire sum of money has been given to you and it's got to be paid off in a certain amount of time. And once it's paid off, it's gone. But with the credit, the revolving debt, it doesn't go anywhere until you spend it. And once you pay it back, it's right there for you every single month of the year, as long as you're paying it back. So
it's like a supply. It's like a supply that you can use and put back, use and put back and put back.
exactly, imagine if I had a credit card with $1,000 on it, I could go 2 months and not even touch it. But that 1 month comes where, I popped the tire on my car and I need to fix this tire so I can keep using my car to get through my day-to-day, because I'm an Uber driver. I can't just, not worry about this. So I use this $1,000 credit card to spend, $400 to get my tire fixed. And now my car's fine. For the next 30 days, I'm putting $20 aside every chance I get to pay off this $400. So within a 30-day time period, now I've paid off the tire. I was able to keep doing my Uber cycle, that $1,000 came in handy, when I needed it, but it was also just sitting there when I wasn't using it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I was thinking about, what about having like an emergency fund? I mean, like for emergencies?
Right. You can have an emergency fund, and that's good to have. And that's also, in my opinion, how I look at credit. I mean, you don't want to use a bunch of credit for an emergency. So there's reasons to save, and put money aside, cash in your accounts. But while you're saving it, think of this: where is it being saved? Because normal savings accounts, it's not helping your money grow at all, but let's say you put in a high yield account, for example, part of that in there, maybe put some money in stocks, just different places that you can save cash to where it'll grow while it's just sitting there. And then when it's time for an emergency, you can still have access to it. And if you don't, you can always borrow against something that you have equity in, or
Right.
something holds value that you own. So just that all together is really a part of the mindset that I was talking about earlier. We just all need to know that some things are worth money, so you can use that the same way you would use the savings. And when it comes to credit cards, people don't want to have an emergency that they can't pay off in 30 days, and that's understandable, so just keep in mind when you're saving cash, try to save it somewhere that's growing your money and that you can still have access to, when it's time for an emergency, if there is one. But a credit card just as good for emergencies, especially it's something that you can handle within 30 days, and I haven't even gone into 0% interest cards. Imagine if you had one of those 0% interest bonus time periods going on, 10 to 12, 15, 21 months of 0% interest. If an emergency were to happen, how long would it take you to pay it off? That's really just something you have to pay attention to. And that's why I feel understanding credit is important, because things like this can really help you in times of an emergency. Knowing you have access to money that isn't yours. You didn't have to work hard and save up, because it takes a long time to save $10,000, but you can get access to $10,000 in one night if you know enough about credit.
Right. What I'm seeing is that there's so many little ins and outs, like it's credit, is where to put the money, like when you have money to save instead of putting in the savings account. good debt, bad debt, assets, liabilities. Like there's different pieces of the puzzle.
Mhm.
And then if a person, like let's say I'm a young adult, I just started to become an adult. If I don't know the pieces of the puzzle, then how can I put them together like wisely?
Exactly. You never know what you're going to get into. If you're going to become a business person, a teacher, just a normal everyday job, whatever that might be. But either way it goes, all of these different people have to spend money somehow.
Right.
And some people use credit to their advantage. Some people use it to maintain. Some people use it and they just go deeper and deeper in debt because they don't understand it.
Right.
That's what I think the difference is between all the levels. People up here using credit to make more money, they just understand it. The people here that are using it to maintain, they understand it to a degree.
To a point, yeah.
And the people
Exactly.
down use it and don't understand why their score's going down, and they still have balances and they're closing accounts left and right, and they just
a mess.
They don't understand. But the money's there on each level. It's just the understanding.
So then it is costing people money, the fact of lacking the understanding. Like ignorance is not bliss, really, with credit.
Ignorance tax.
Say that again?
I
Oh,
call it ignorance tax. There's
yeah.
people paying tax of being ignorant in some areas, and it's not their fault. But that's why I like teaching and helping people understand, because the less ignorance tax you pay, the better I feel about
and it's not fault, it's just responsibility, because it's not about blaming people for being ignorant, like not knowing that the difference of your credit can mean how much you're going to pay per month for something, like the difference of how much you're paying. It's just ignorance. And yeah, it's not about pointing fingers or blaming, but you are responsible and you're going to get results,
Yeah. I mean, it's really just about what you know and what you don't. I mean, ask anybody who's joined a new, work environment. If you go in there and you show them that you don't really know what's going on, they'll treat you as such. But if you go in there and you keep your head high and tell them what you know and speak your mind, they'll treat you the way you treat yourself, really. You know what I'm saying? And that's the same thing when it comes to credit. If you go inside of a car dealership or a bank, or you go to buy a home, the way that you communicate through your financial literacy will show them exactly how to charge you. They'll charge you more interest or more money, and you won't even see it happening.
Yeah,
because
they take advantage of you because you don't know what you're doing.
Exactly. You expose yourself every time you go to apply for something or ask for a loan or buy something that isn't getting bought from a friend, because you can always go to a friend and say, hey, let me rent your house from you, and you just give them some money or something like that. But when you want something that belongs to you and you want to own it, you always have to go to somebody for that. The lender will always have to check what you have going on. That's why your credit report matters, your score, your history with money in general, and your financial literacy, so the conversation doesn't go the way you don't want it to go.
No, and since money is such a big part of our lives, like it makes sense to know about it and understand it and know how to deal with it, because it's like a lot of things depend on that, like on how good we're doing with our money.
Exactly, that's very true.
So tell us a little bit about your book, Branden. Tell us about your book, the title, how do we find it, and what is the focus? I mean, you said money, finances, and credit.
I'm waiting for some more copies to come in, but the credit curriculum, you can get it on Amazon. All you have to do is type in the credit curriculum. I should pop up right at the top. The basics of money and credit. And like I was saying earlier, it's really a simple read, about 44 pages. I have a couple chapters on, what is money? How does money grow? Other people's money, separate yourself from everything. That's where I talk about types of businesses that you can start, LLCs, S corporations, things like that. But the chapters in the book are just the basics of understanding what money is, and well, my opinion of what money is, because there's not really anything, exact in this book that I wrote. It's really just from my mind, and the information that I've learned.
Your experience.
My experiences with it to be true. And, just my understanding of the basics of what money is, where it's coming from and how it grows and why credit's important, how to understand it.
So how else are you helping people, Branden? Like, I know, so the book is like you teaching people when you're not around. Where else can they find you teaching, you helping, you coaching? Like, tell us more about that.
Oh, yeah. Well, you can go on my YouTube channel, More Action Podcast, and just go all the way back to January 9th this year. Actually, I've been posting every Tuesday on my YouTube, and on Instagram, you can look me up, More Action Podcast. And my personal Instagram is The Real Branden J. And I post on both of those every once in a while. That's something I got to get better at, but you can definitely follow my YouTube channel to get a video every Tuesday around something financial, whether it's mindset, whether it's credit, maybe something I've learned when it comes to life insurance or just car loans, anything like that. I have a couple of interviews, one with a realtor, for example. So that's something you can check out. But yeah, that's about it.
So then, if people want to work more with you, are there ways right now for people to work more with you, like more one-on-one, or what?
If you want to work with me one-on-one, just follow either one of my Instagrams and DM me there first. We can talk about a couple of my offers I have where we can do mentorship with credit information, and 3 months, 6 months, probably see a big change in your credit score and your mindset in general when it comes to credit. I also have a credit cleaning software that we can talk about, getting some of the inaccurate items off of your credit report cleaned and deleted within 30 to 120 days, so that's something else we could talk about. But I have a couple offers for anybody interested. Just DM me at More Action Podcasts on Instagram or The Real Branden J, so that's about it right now, besides the book and my YouTube channel.
That's about it. That's a lot, Branden. You're giving value. You're giving value. Let me ask you, what are the common mistakes that you see people are making, or the common challenges that you find people are having?
Not looking into the fine print. Always read and look into the little details in anything you're getting yourself into. I don't care if it's a phone bill contract or a credit card, a car loan. Always look at the interest rate, look at the amount of time you're paying it off in, if it's even something you want to do, because you can get pre-approved for things, you don't always have to apply and end up getting an inquiry. That's what every time you apply for something too soon without knowing if you were going to get denied or if it was even the right decision to make, you're going to get that inquiry because you applied. But if you pre-approve yourself, which you can in most cases, you're not going to get an effect to your credit score. So that's something to do. Just like look for the best, shop around for the best deal or, situation for you, instead of just taking the first one you get in the mail,
Those things we get in the mail, huh? Hey, offer. This is an offer for you.
They make
pre-approved for $5,000. You're pre-approved for this.
Yeah, when they see that, they don't go actually take the pre-approval test. They'll just apply because the mail says pre-approved, but you gotta study your own credit report and understand if you actually will get approved for it. Because pre-approval, is just like a 80% true. Like it's 80% of the time it'll be true.
But is it even like those things are not, I don't think they're true. Like when they send you those envelopes that come to your house and say you're pre-approved for this or that. Like
no, it's true. That's what I'm saying. 80%, 75 to 80% of the time, it is true. But that's only because of certain parts of your credit report. You know, there's
not the whole story, not the whole story.
Right. Like they'll pre-approve you because you have a 700 credit score, for example. But if you go apply for that credit card and you have 10 inquiries because you tried to get a car the other day and, you know, you're trying to get a house all at the same time and there's a bunch of things you've applied for recently, they'll deny you based off of something that wasn't even checked with your pre-approval. The pre-approval is just the face value, you know, what they think will happen, but
possibility, like a possibility.
The possibility, you know, is there. It's there. But if you apply and you put 100% of the information and that 20% isn't good, you know, sorry.
They don't lose anything. They don't lose anything. They just want you to apply.
The only thing that happens when you get denied is that a hard inquiry, again, has been placed on your credit report. And in most cases, they'll be there for 2, 3, 4 years sometimes, depending on what it is. I mean.
So what are the things for people that are basic? What are the things that harm our credit report?
Well, late payments is the number one thing. 35% of your score is your payment history. So you one late payment on an old credit card, a current car loan, you know, student loan, figure it out. Just don't do any late payments. I mean, and when it comes to collections, you know, never pay a collection until you are positive that it belongs to you. Because in some cases, collections will report to one credit bureau and not the others, which means that it's inaccurate and things can be figured out to where that collection could possibly be deleted. And banks sell debt to other lenders and try to get money off of that. So when they start hounding you for it, the debt never belonged to them in the first place. There's a whole bunch of information when it comes to that. So just be careful with collections. You know, as soon as you pay for it, you prove that it's yours. But you know, you don't want to do that. You want to check the background and make sure everything's in order.
So late payments, 35%. So whoever likes to leave things for later, make sure you just put it on your calendar.
Yeah,
with like 2 or 3 how do you call it, alarms telling you, hey, make that payment, right?
Right. People say set up automatic payments sometimes too, but you know, that honestly, I don't like doing that because that's another way to become forgetful.
And you forget about it.
Yeah, because that automatic payment has to come from somewhere. And if you're not putting money in your debit account, your checking account, and they try to pull that automatic payment and it's not there, you know what I mean? Like, first of all,
find out like after the fact.
Right. Like, imagine you've already gotten lazy with remembering the due date for the bill. So you just forgot to look. They tried to pull out that automatic payment. It didn't go through. So now they've charged you a late fee and another fee because you didn't have the money in your account. And then you just keep on going about your day.
Like nothing happened.
Like nothing happened. And then now you go buy a coffee and your card declines. And it's like, I wonder what happened because you didn't pay attention. That's the 2 biggest things. Don't make any late payments and just check your credit report, check your bank accounts every day. You know, I mean, why not? It's important.
So like as a people, I mean, we are trying to learn from other people that, you know, are wealthy, are rich, and, you know, they know more about money than we do. But as a people, like, we have so little information, you know, like we said at the beginning. And it's like we are set up for failure unless we take responsibility and search for the knowledge on our own.
Right.
If not, it's like, right?
The internet is there for us to learn and search information. And that's why I'm putting it out there, you know. one of these days, thousands of people are going to start catching on. It's like, all right, Brandon's talking about something important. You know, he may not be saying it all yet, because I got a lot more coming. That's the thing. The information never stops.
You're sowing the seeds. You're sowing the seeds. You know, one time we were opening a bank account for my daughter, and we were doing a checking and a savings, and the guy says to her, with $1,000. So she was talking about putting $1,000, something like that. And he's like, oh, in the savings account, you're gonna make 0.01 or something. I don't remember. It was just something super small.
Yeah.
But they were saying it to her like, oh, your money's gonna make money, you know? And then I said to them, like, can you tell us how much is 0.01% of 1,000? And then he was like, he didn't want to calculate it. He didn't want to do it. And then the like his supervisor was sitting there watching him, and he was like looking at her like, should I do it? Should I not do it? Like, I'm like, oh, it's okay, I have my phone. So I took out the calculator. I took out the calculator, and I'm like, okay, $1,000 times points. It was something ridiculous, like $1.
Oh man. And see, that's what I'm talking about. They love to throw things in our face and see what we actually will do, what we know. And the fact that you did that, you saw it kind of threw them off a little bit, because they probably also had a high yield savings account available. You know what I mean? And maybe something behind the scenes, you know, is better for him with a regular savings account than a high yield savings. But either way, you have to know what's good for you. And that's the thing. A lot of times, some people just won't tell you what's good for you. They'll tell you, you know, whatever to get that's making it best for them or good for them, you know.
Exactly. Like, we can be gullible, like, just, you know. And then I think it was either $1 or $10. I don't remember. But the thing is, like, Brandon, you take $1,000. Let's say you take 100 of those and you invest it, or you buy something to sell something, or you materials to create something to sell, or you buy, you know, you create an ebook with that money, or you pay somebody to create the cover for you, and then you sell that book. You're gonna multiply those $100 way more than just getting $10 for $1,000.
Yeah, investing in yourself, you know, that, I mean, your time and efforts is the biggest assets you'll ever have. You know, you can put money into houses or a business, but you follow you everywhere you go. So you gotta yep.
And the results of our lives, like, we are you know how they say, like an opportunity, you know, when people sell you on opportunities, like, oh, this is an opportunity, you know. I'm like, well, opportunities are vehicles, but I'm the driver, you know. Like, we are the drivers of all those opportunities.
Exactly. I agree with you.
So if the driver doesn't know where to go, you know, the opportunity can be great, but you're the one that's going to drive that opportunity pretty much nowhere, right? Because you don't know where to go with it. Within that topic of credit and financial freedom or financial understanding, what's your favorite topic to talk about? Or what's your favorite idea or philosophy? What has made the greatest impact on you? And then you like to talk about?
The thing to talk about is that the dollar, the US dollar, how it's not backed by anything. You know, I learned that in 1971, Richard Nixon took the dollar off the gold standard. And now the gold standard basically means, well, when we were on the gold standard, it meant if we have $1 million worth of gold, we can print and loan out and use within our banks $1 million because we have the gold to back it up. But in 1971, Nixon said, the money that we print, it doesn't have, you know what I mean? That standard is done. Just keep printing.
That's so weird for me. That is so weird to me. Like that.
When you think about it, after a while, people started putting value in the paper. You know what I mean? What was backing the paper wasn't as important. So, I mean, I can only assume, you know, when if it was just print enough money, you know, people will continue to trade value and buy things. And as far as loans go, we can loan out this money And now people have to pay us back plus interest. Now, see, interest is where money is created. Because if I loan you $100 that isn't real, but I say, hey, use this $100 for, 60 days if you want to. But at the end of 60 days, you got to pay me $150, right?
Yeah.
You went out and you earned money and you paid bills and you did what you had to do. And now when you give me that $150 back, I just made $50.
Like a game.
It's like a game. So that's how the banks use their money. You know what I mean? When people are in need, they take out loans in the form of student loans, car loans, credit cards. It's all debt.
Other people's money.
But what most people do is they spend it on things that will always cost them money.
A lot of times people just spend on something that will do nothing for them. Like it won't give a return.
Right. It'll just, help you waste more time. Time is something we can't get back. So when you spend money on something that isn't helping your money multiply or, helping you get better so that way you could go earn some more, you know what I mean? It's just a liability. And that's what I call bad debt. And most bad debt has to be paid back with interest. I put in my book that I found out in the UK alone, banks make around 192 million a day on interest. You know what I mean?
It's crazy to me because you go to the bank and then they tell you, oh, you're going to make 0.00 whatever, 0.01%. But then they tell you this credit card is 28% or 18%. Like, how do you go from 0.01 for me to 18, 19, 20, 30 for you?
And the thing
we're
is,
okay with it.
Most people, you know what I'm saying? Most people don't even read that information. They just see credit card, nice and shiny.
The back of the paper.
Right. But it's like that 20% is going to hurt, especially if you're only paying back minimums and you're not paying back the entire balance.
That's another thing, just paying the minimum. And then you're like, wait a second, haven't I been paying this big amount? And now it's still.
Yeah. And see, credit makes people believe they have more money than they actually do. And that's why understanding credit before you get it is so important.
Wait. Say that again. Credit makes people what? Say it again.
Credit makes people believe that they have more money than they actually do. So that's why understanding credit is so important, because if you get it, you need to understand that's someone else's money. You can use it, but it's not yours. So when you use it the right way, you know what I'm saying? They'll show you benefits.
They're coming back for it,
Yeah, So I mean, it's just, it is what it is. That's why I wrote the
That's so cool.
It's important to learn how and what goes on within the credit game to play it. You don't want to play Uno without learning the rules. So then you'll be out.
But you're gonna probably lose because you don't know how to win, right?
That's it.
So then, Branden, if somebody's starting, where should they start? Let's say now their mom and dad are not going to take care of everything for them. They're going to start having to take care of things for themselves. Where should they start?
First things first, stop being afraid of banks. They're here. They're not going nowhere. You know what I mean? A lot of people are like, oh, America, this, that, and other. It's like, you're here. It's okay. There's nothing wrong.
We got to work with what we have, right?
We got to work with what we have. There's nothing wrong with the banking system. There's something wrong with you not fully understanding the bank system. So get a bank account, make a relationship with a bank. Local credit unions, they love their members, because that's how banks make money, to be real, is by taking your money and using it properly. The way we're talking about it, they put money that you loan them into assets and, different ways. I don't work at a bank, so I don't know for sure, but I'm just saying the bank make money off of interest and using the money that they have to invest and multiply. So either way, there's nothing wrong with banks. It's just not understanding the system is the only thing that's wrong. So get a bank account and get a checkings, savings. And if you are holding a bunch of cash, look into, you don't have to do this, but look into high yield savings accounts. Look into stocks, and start understanding where you could put money when it comes to stocks, like the S&P 500, for example, is something you could put your money into. And it's better than leaving it in accounts that will only give you 0.0001% on money. But,
and then what books can, and also what about getting their credit report? Even though at the beginning they probably have no credit, but I guess, can you get it and see where you're starting from or something like that?
Yeah. There's a couple of places you can look at your credit report. If you download the app of whatever bank you have an account with, most of it they'll show you. But if not, you can download an app called Experian, for example. And the Experian app will give you your Experian credit report for free. Mm-hmm. But the Equifax and the TransUnion credit report, which are the other two credit reporting agencies, you have to pay a monthly subscription to see all three of them at all times. But it's worth it,
What do you think of Credit Karma?
Credit Karma is another good way to look at your score, but just keep in mind, some apps for checking your credit just don't show you all of the information as accurately as others.
Like real time kind of thing? Like not so much.
Yeah, recently updated, like up to date. So Credit Karma is good, but I would, in my opinion, I'd put Experian above that. But above Experian, I would put something like myfreecreditscorenow.com. You can go there, create an account, and check your credit report there. My Free Credit Score Now. And there's plenty of other places that you can check your credit, but it's really up to you to decide. Just make sure that the reports you're looking at are recent, and keep in mind that the three credit agencies are Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. So if you're only seeing your TransUnion report, be aware there's two other scores out there.
And they don't go simultaneously all the time. Sometimes one goes up and then the other one's still lagging. And then to build the credit, Branden, what is something that people can keep in mind to build their credit? Let's say they're starting.
Right. So if you want to build your credit, you have to start adding on accounts, which is why I encourage credit cards, because people think once you get them, you have to use them. Well, you do, I guess, every 6 months or so to keep it from closing. But to be honest, you can use your credit cards for things you're already going to pay for. So don't be afraid to get them and use them for certain bills like your phone bill or your light bill. Pay them with the credit card and then just pay the credit card off.
You just have to be organize yourself. And like if you're going to use it for the phone bill and internet, whatever, then put the reminder of when you're going to pay the credit card for the amount of money that you paid for the other things that you would have paid with cash.
Yeah. Check this out. This is my calendar. I look at every day.
Is that the one for payments or everything?
It's for my payments. Yeah, it's for my payments and like certain dates that I look at for certain credit cards where I have 0% interest and that date falls off. But I have a screenshot of that in my phone, and every day I look at the date. Okay, it's the 18th. I look at the calendar. If it's something to pay, I pay for it, whichever way makes sense. Or if it's the 18th and I see there's something coming up on the 22nd, I'm always ahead of the game, or I'm right on time because of that calendar. I look at it every single day. And
So
Yeah,
it's
that's
being very proactive because it's so important. But you understand that it's very important. I think a lot of people, since they don't understand it's so important, they're more like aloof about it, you know?
I mean, think about how many guys you know can name every player on their favorite basketball team, football team. It's important.
That's
They figured
important to them.
they figured it out. How many people do you know can tell you every character of their favorite TV show, or their favorite movie? They can quote the whole movie, or their favorite song. They can sing the whole thing, and it's not even playing. It was important in some way. You
Yeah.
learned it. That's why I am the way I am with this, because once I found out the importance of it, it's not even hard keeping up with credit card payments. I mean, I know what a late payment could do. So I'm like, I'm not,
We're gonna avoid that. We're gonna avoid that.
I know people that know how to play Madden and 2K real good because that game was important to them. This game is important to me.
This is a game, Branden. This is a game. This whole money thing
That's it.
and riches and wealth, and it's a game, and we can win it.
Exactly.
We can win it.
It starts with your mindset.
Because
And
we're
then-
the drivers. We're the drivers. I was gonna ask you what books have you read? And we're gonna have a little bit more time. What books have you read that have helped you with your mindset? Or what I know you said some of the teachers for this for credit, but just mentors and books. What mentors and books have impacted your life?
I'm working on finishing this one right here. I actually got my stack of books sitting next to me. David Schwartz wrote The Magic of Thinking Big. And that's honestly similar to the book you know about by Dan Sullivan and Dr. Benjamin Hardy, 10X is easier than 2X. Just those two really make you look at any ideas you've had and just, blow them up and just expand on them, try to increase the things that you've been wanting or thinking you need. When you expand your mindset and you want more, you think bigger, you actually realize that you need more than what you've been, working for to make it happen. The things that you set as a goal, now it becomes a requirement. You know what I'm saying? Like you gotta think bigger to do more. And by doing more, you'll get more.
You have to become more. Like just the fact that we are able to become more.
Right. You told me yourself, it's about your beliefs. It starts with your beliefs. We don't have the right beliefs, you won't have the right thoughts. You don't have the right thoughts, your actions won't be where they need to be to get what you say you want. Maybe you don't really want what you thought you wanted.
Exactly.
You have to go backwards, reverse engineer.
Like I was working with a client, and sometimes we say, oh, we want financial independence or we want success, but then we were asking questions. We found that because have you ever felt that you have like a push and pull? Like you're moving towards something, but then you're moving away from it. You're moving towards, let's say, riches or wealth. Right. You're moving towards it and then away from it. Like, have you felt that? Like your foot on the gas and your foot on the brake?
I have. It's like you get real excited about something and then you're going after it, but then all of a sudden it's like, oh wow, you actually gotta make more phone calls than you thought, or stay up later than you thought, and now it's like, do I really want to do this? That's something I learned from Alex Hormozy. It was the 5 stages of success. You have, what was it? Uninformed optimism. And then you have informed pessimism. And then you have the valley of despair, which is where everybody usually quits because they get here and they're like, all right, I know what it takes and I'm not really for it. But some people skip that part of it and they get to the 4th stage, which is informed optimism. So you had informed pessimism, you're in the area where you're about to quit, but now you're still informed, but you're optimistic. You know what it takes, and you're gonna do more. You're gonna be better. You're gonna do what it takes. And then the fifth stage is success. If you get past that valley of despair down at the bottom, those next two stages, you end up seeing success in whatever it is. But that's that push and pull, in my opinion.
I think the stages, I had never heard of them, but it makes total sense. So those stages, another thing that I found is unconscious enmity with money. Like just something that you have down there very deep inside of you that tells you it's not going to be so good to be rich. Like, for example, oh, what if when I'm rich, then I'm going to change? I'm going to be another person. You know, and if you have that subconsciously and you like who you are, then it's like you have somebody inside of you telling you, hey, don't be rich, because then you're going to be a different kind of person. And you don't want to be a different kind of person, do you?
It's a deep thought. That's a deep thought.
But it's not very conscious. So a lot of people don't know. Or for example, there was another belief like, oh, when you're rich, you're going to get a lot of fake friends.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody wants fake friends. So if your mind is telling you, no, don't be rich, because then you're going to attract people that are going to want you for your money. So then subconsciously, you're like being cautious as you're towards money. Because you say you want money. You see people like Myron Golden, you know, like Priestley and Hardy, and you see all these people and you're like, but they're fine. They look fine. They look like they're happy, you know, whatever. They look like they're fulfilled. But then your mind saying, yeah, but you might change, or you might get fake friends, or you might be unavailable. Now you won't be available because now you're rich. And it's like, but it's quiet. It's like really quiet, like in the down low, you know? Mm-hmm. So it's like that's pulling you away from riches. I know that's another topic for another day.
No, that'll be a great topic next time we do an interview.
Mindset. That's the mindset part.
Mm-hmm. I was just looking at this other book I found. This one right here, I did finish the four agreements.
Yeah, that's my book.
Everything you were just speaking on, it's like but just everything we grew up with. We've been indoctrinated, and our mindset is just, you know, what it is based on our environments coming up.
And it's like an enchantment, you know, like when you were saying about the 10x, like discovering that you can want more and you can want bigger. But if you have been indoctrinated that, oh, just pay the bills, you know, just, you know, drive a nice car, have an okay house, you know, like as long as you can have a big screen TV, you know, and whatever, like so little bit of goals that are so little, you don't know that you can have 10, 100 times that goal.
Yeah.
And just like you got that TV that you didn't have before, now you have it. It's the same way that you can get that $1 million that you didn't have. It's just a bigger goal. That's it. But you're the goal achiever. It's just you had small goals.
Right.
But then the beliefs, and in the 4 agreements, I love, because we were just talking about that yesterday with one of my friends about that book. She sent it to my daughter. You know, and I wrote it in one of my statuses that sin, I don't know how it is in English because I read the book in Spanish, but it says sin is anything that harms you or harms someone else. Mm-hmm. That's what sin is. Sin is something that harms others or harms you. So if you have a belief that it's really hard to make a lot of money, that's a sin. Like that belief in itself is a sin, because it's telling you, it's making you go away from riches, and it's making you stay broke.
Yeah, it's like putting limits on yourself.
Exactly. And if you put limits on yourself, you're hurting yourself and you're hurting others, like your children, you know, your wife, your parents when they get elderly. Because you know the difference between your parents being elderly and you being rich versus them being elderly and you being broke. Mm-hmm. Like, how can you show up for them? You're not gonna, you can't show up for them the same.
Yeah.
So just the thought that riches is going to change you, that riches is going to bring you bad friends, all of those things are harming you because they're keeping you broke. Therefore, you won't have the financial freedom to help your parents when they get really old, or to bring it down to the other, like we're learning from Myron, you know?
Yeah, make wealth generations, you know?
Generational.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, is it a wise man leaves an inheritance for his children's children, something like that? Or a righteous man, or I forget the word, but just a good man.
Yeah, no, that's true. And that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm gonna do. I already know it because the way that I've gone about learning this information and only being in I'm 27, so I know that by 37,
Great time, great time.
yeah, I'm gonna have a lot more information. I'm gonna have a lot more, you know, plans in line, focus. I see it. I'm thinking in decades.
That
That's
that that's so good. We overestimate what we can do in a week, but we underestimate what we can do in a year.
yeah. Wow.
And you're thinking long term. Well, I'm so glad that we met, Branden, and I know we're gonna do more of these, and we working on the mindset, the beliefs, the what it's moving on. So you teach what to do with the money, and then I help people actually want the money and actually want the riches, and
Right.
know that they can have it, and know that they deserve it. I find a lot of people think they don't deserve to be rich, or they think that rich people are snobs and they don't want to be snobs.
Exactly. It starts with the mindset, the belief, and the thoughts you have about yourself, will lead to the action, more action. I had to do that.
Very good. Okay, Branden. So thank you for this time.
Appreciate you.
Thank you
It
for
was-
sharing.
Next time I'm interviewing you on beliefs and how you get people to transform their mindset. So, be ready for that. Get my questions ready.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay, so be well, and we're gonna speak soon.